My 1969 trip to Europe begins at Hobby Airport when Jules Burkoff, a fellow teacher, and I begin our trip to Europe.
Our Delta flight takes off from Hobby Airport, one of the last commercial flights to use Hobby Field. Looking out over the wing, we can see the rapidly receding outskirts of Houston. Miss Burkoff and Mr. Henderson relax, as well as can be expected for two people on their first jet flight, for the 4-hour flight to New York's Kennedy Airport. As the airplane ascends to an altitude of 35,000 feet, the cloud layer below appears as balls of cotton scattered across a blue blanket. The outside temperature is 52 degrees below zero as the plane smoothly travels at a speed of 560 miles per hour towards its destination. As the ailerons are lowered, the plane banks and begins its descent. A safe landing at Kennedy Airport, where there's a 5-hour layover. We finally arrive in Paris early Wednesday morning. Our first excursion is to the city of Versailles, just outside Paris. Constant restoration projects are in process throughout Europe. Here, a tower on the Palace of Versailles is being restored. The Texas group arrives at the gates of the Palace of Versailles. One of the many rooms in the palace is the chapel of Louis XIV. In another room is a marble plaque of Louis XIV. Outside the palace lie the beautiful gardens at Versailles. Amidst the garden is found this fountain. We are once again in flight, this time aboard a small Finnair jet for Amsterdam. A trip in a glass-top boat is the best way to see the canals. Our group boarded one of the numerous sightseeing boats. Looking out the roof of our boat, it can be seen why Amsterdam has been called the Venice of the North. Amsterdam is laced by 60 canals, which are crossed by more than 550 bridges. When the canals were first dug more than 300 years ago, they served as the principal means of transportation. Now, because of the extreme housing shortage, many people live in houseboats along the canals. The city has many narrow streets along which many people ride their bicycles daily to work. The canals empty into the harbor and serve commercial purposes. Throughout Europe, the Protestant churches have ornamental roosters constructed on top of their steeples. This view of the suburbs of Amsterdam was taken from my hotel window. Although few Dutch windmills are still in operation, there are some still kept in good repair to add beauty and keep the tradition of Holland alive. Here is one of the older Dutch homes. Few homes still have grass roofs as this one, although providing good insulation, they are quite a fire hazard. You may have been told that wooden shoes are not worn anymore. Don't believe it. Almost everyone wears them while working in their gardens or the fields. One of our first views of the Rhine River as we enter Germany. Here is the well-known Cologne Cathedral. Although not bombed during the war, it, as well as most historical monuments, is undergoing reconstruction. Its towers are 470 feet high. We continued to travel along the Autobahn, the superhighway, through the German countryside and German cities as we travel adjacent to the Rhine. At the city of St. Goar, we boarded a Rhine steamer. The interior of the steamer was quite luxurious. A group of German school children happened to be on the steamer with us. School in Germany, as throughout Europe, does not close until sometime in late July. These children were on what we might call a field trip. Miss Berkoff and I attempted to converse with the German children. Most of our questions were answered with a "Ich verstehe nicht," which, as you might guess, means "I don't understand." However, by drawing pictures and using their schoolmaster as interpreter, we were able to communicate to a limited degree. Bobby, the only child traveling in our group, may or may not have been communicating, but he certainly had their attention. I think that here we see an example of what the Germans call Gemütlich, friendliness. The Rhine has a continuous traffic of barges. Some people live on these barges and carry their autos with them. All along the Rhine, ancient castles, ruins, and vineyards line the cliffs. This is Die Pfalz, a fortress built in 1326 to exact river tolls. Here is the town of Lorch, a well-known wine region. On the slope of the hill is the Gothic St. Martin's Church. Assmanshausen is a popular tourist spa. It has excellent inns and is celebrated for its red wine.
Auf Wiedersehen, auf Wiedersehen, bleib nicht so lange.
Here, at the Lindenwirt Hotel in Rudesheim, we had our first and last bottle of carbonated mineral water. You would like it fine if you like the taste of Alka-Seltzer. Here we see how enthusiastic Miss Berkoff and Miss Kilpatrick are about their accommodations at the Lindenwirt. They affectionately refer to their room here as the attic. This nightclub was located in the Lindenwirt Hotel, right below our rooms. We could hear the music and singing until 1 o'clock a.m. when they sang Auf Wiedersehen, and everybody left, singing and swinging. down the narrow streets of Rudesheim. Once again, on the road along the Rhine, we pass many beautiful villages, and we sight the ruins of this castle at Heidelberg. Near the Swiss and German border, we find the famous Rhine Falls. Upon reaching Lucerne, Switzerland, we notice its clean and beautiful streets, some large and some small. We arrived on Saturday when the markets along the river are open. Miss Burkhoff looks over the fresh fruits and vegetables on sale at these open-air stands. In the background, you'll notice the chapel bridge and water tower. Built in about 1313, it was part of the town's fortifications. Inside the roof are paintings representing the town's history. From the bridge, there's a very scenic view. Both the Germans and the Swiss decorate their buildings quite ornately. Throughout the cities, you will see squares with fountains and sculpture. The streets are not always perfectly level. Miss Burkhoff, Bobby Mabry, and I start our ascent up Mount Pilot in a cable car. Looking back from about 1/3 of the way up, we see Lucerne below. Once upon the summit, at an altitude of 7,000 feet, we walked in the snow and were even able to make some snowballs. It was snowing on Mount Pilot, while below in Lucerne it was raining. While walking the path atop Mount Pilot, you weave in and out of tunnels garnished with glittering icicles. The path was treacherous, but beautiful. Down Mount Pilot, we rode the Pilatus Railway. With a maximum gradient of 48 degrees, this is the steepest cogwheel railway in the world. Peering out the railway car's window, you observe a snow-covered landscape. Earlier in the year, the snow had melted in this area. But just before we arrived, the snow had begun to fall again, causing the ranchers to have to place their cattle in their protective sheds. As we reach a lower altitude, we see Lake Lucerne and the highway below. At the bottom of Mount Pilot, the train changes tracks, preparing for its trip back up. From the mountain we board a boat to cross Lake Lucerne. From the boat, we see some of the other countryside surrounding Lake Lucerne. Here, someone has formed this rock mountain into some kind of dwelling. The famous composer Wagner once lived in this house. William Tell, being the legendary hero of Switzerland, you might expect to see such sights as this boat named after him. On one bank of Lake Lucerne is Audrey Hepburn's home. At the Stadtkeller restaurant in Lucerne, we were served the famous Swiss dish, fondue. Some tackled this delicacy with more enthusiasm than others. Everyone enjoyed taking part in a sing-along. A Swiss entertainer played a tune for us on a Swiss Alp horn. One of the musicians played 2 clarinets at once. This entertainer performed a Swiss flag dance. He was followed by a dance performed in a cow costume. One person from each country represented was called to the stage to try their hand at yodeling. Our guide made sure that I was one of the ones selected. This view is from my hotel window in Lucerne. The Lion Monument was sculptured in the natural rock in 1821. The monument was sculptured in memory of the Swiss guards who faithfully defended the French king and the Tuileries and were killed by the revolutionists at the massacre on the 10th of August, 1792. Continuing through Switzerland, we pass Lake Zurich. Miss Burkhoff, Bobby, and the Kilpatrick girls look at a monument along the road. As we travel along the Swiss countryside, we see beautiful fields, homes, and hills. We pass Lake Wallen as we press onward to Liechtenstein. Traveling through the Swiss Alps, we pass through many tunnels, such as this one. As the summer months arrive, the snow begins to melt and numerous waterfalls are created. Some views of Sargans, Switzerland. Here we see the origin of the Rhine River. Each bus carrying tourists which arrives at Vaduz, Liechtenstein, is welcomed by the Count. A short stop at Vaduz, the capital of Liechtenstein, allows time for lunch and some shopping.
Der alte Graf von Liechtenstein. Ja, ja, ja.
This is the palace of the reigning Prince Francis Joseph II. our first view of some Austrians as we cross the border. Austria is well known for its striking scenic beauty. The railroad tracks run through many tunnels, and covered sheds protect the tracks from becoming snowbound. These snow fences help prevent dangerous snowslides. Magnificent views of the Austrian Alps. A rest stop to collect some pine cones. Lunchtime at San Anton, Austria. A railroad bridge spanning the river at San Anton. The city of Landeck. Landeck, literally translated, means land corner. Innsbruck, the capital of Tyrol, Austria. As we cross into Italy, we see the Italy Crystal Mountains and the Dolomite Mountains. Cortina in northern Italy is a popular ski resort. This ski jump was built for the Olympics when they were held in Cortina. This dam once gave way, washing away the town of Langeron. The Lake of the Holy Cross. A view is seen from my hotel window in Venice. Our first meal in Venice. Miss Burkhoff and Mr. Henderson start a gondola ride. The vibrant voice of the gondola singer rings out over the Grand Canal. Our guide and bus driver travel along in their gondola beside us. Our gondolier rocks the boat to the rhythm of the music. This is the Rialto Bridge over the Grand Canal. Some views of the well-known and much photographed St. Mark's Square. Eating at a sidewalk cafe on St. Mark's Square. A display of the delicate glasswork at a Venetian glass-blowing factory. In Florence, we view Joseph's Tower. The Basilica in Florence. In Signora Square in Florence is some of the many sculptured masterpieces the sculpture of Neptune. Some Italian children in Signoria Square. Miss Burkoff gets a not too friendly greeting from this horse with Surrey. The Broboli Gardens. A view of Florence is seen from Michelangelo Square. The old covered bridge at Florence. At the Fountain of Tivoli in Rome, Miss Burkoff tosses a coin at the fountain and misses. Mr. Henderson tries and also misses. I guess they'll not return to Rome. Well, anyway, the Fountain of Tivoli is a stunning sight at night. The Arch of Constantine. The Amphitheater and Colosseum. In the Church of St. Peter in Chains is a sculpture of Moses by Michelangelo. The Palatine Hill Roman Forum. The Roman Forum was the center of the Roman life, where its meetings, festivals, and ceremonies took place. The memorial to the first king of Italy, Victor Emmanuel II. The interior of the Pantheon, which was erected by King Agrippa in 27 AD. It contains no windows, and the light comes in through an opening made in the center of the cupola. A monument immediately in front of the Pantheon. Looking back toward Rome from the Tivoli Gardens, the Tivoli Fountains. The following pictures give various views of the picturesque Tivoli Fountains. A view of the Church Trinita de Monte in Spanish Square. In Pisa, Italy, we see the well-known Leaning Tower. We couldn't resist this trick shot popular with tourists. The Baptistry. A panoramic view of the cathedral, baptistry, and Leaning Tower. Here we make one of the many purchases of gelata, Italian ice cream. Delicious. Genoa, Italy, the birthplace of Christopher Columbus. The Mediterranean Sea. Our guide, Josephine, and the Kilpatrick girls sunbathing on the beaches of the French Riviera at Nice. The interior of the Oceanographic Museum in Monaco. Looking down over Monaco from the terrace of the Oceanographic Museum, we see some children playing soccer below. This perfume factory in Grasse makes soap from the fat of the flowers and makes the different essences from the oil. The bus driver had a difficult task navigating this narrow bridge to Castellina. Castellina is a small village perched in the hills between Nice and Paris. The high altar of Louis XIV in Napoleon's tomb. Paris as seen from above. The Church of the Sacred Heart. This is Concordia Square, the largest city square in Europe. In its center stands the Obelisk of Luxor, a 3,300-year-old Egyptian monument. The Arch of Triumph as seen from Concordia Square. Near the square is the American Embassy. French policemen are preparing for Mr. Pompidou's first official day in office. An honor guard and the French people await the appearance of Pompidou. The Church of Magdalena. In the Louvre Museum are such works of art as the Venus de Milo and the Winged Victory. The Tuileries Gardens extend from Concordia Square to the Louvre. The Royal Observatory. Some French schoolboys being taken to the park. The island of Old Paris. Paris originally began on an island and spread to the banks of the river on either side until it is now the large city it is. Along the river's Seine, a man fishes with a cane pole. One of the bridges across the Seine. The popular and expensive nightclub, the MOULIN ROUGE. In London, we are served tea by Mr. Williams, the schoolmaster at the junior school at Hallfield Primary School. One class we visited was busy working on murals. These classes were engaged in a number of activities. The English school system allows more freedom for individual work. In this class, working crafts projects, one group of boys was designing a model airplane they would construct from scraps. In this general purpose room, a group of children is engaged in various gymnastic activities. Each child is allowed to choose the activity which he is capable of performing. The Anchor Pub and Restaurant on the banks of the Thames River provided a pleasant evening for our group. The Italian waiters in this English restaurant were a bundle of wit, pulling such pranks as presenting me with a check for 12 shillings for an extra glass of water. Downstairs was the traditional bar with beer on draft.